And welcome to HSGameTime Live. I'm Pep Fernandez. I'm feeling good. I cut my own hair today. I'm wearing my white jacket. You know it's going to be a great week. Lots of great highlights and scores to get to. And some of the biggest games tonight in Week 8 took place down in the Sun Belt League. So we're going to start right at the scoreboard and then bring you the highlights in just a second. So the scores from the Sun Belt League tonight. Let's begin with the big one. Heritage taking on Paloma Valley in the Menifee Bowl. And it's pointed out that in the newspaper it said I picked Paloma Valley. Truth be told, I did have Heritage winning 38-35. So somehow there was a typo. I'm not sure where the lines got crossed, but I had Heritage winning 38-35. I was off, but Heritage still won 48-25. So the Menifee Bowl trophy stays with the Patriots. Heritage still has not lost a game ever. 18-0 in the Sun Belt League, 48-25. Chris Erickley will have the highlights. Lakeside defeating Terrace 16-6. So congrats to Andy Pinwarden and the Lancers. And one more score from the Sun Belt League, and that would be Temescal Canyon and Elsinore. We'll have highlights of this one coming up as the Tigers win 29-15. All right, joining us now in studio, Chris Erickley at the Menifee Bowl.
I was at the Menifee Bowl. It was the place to be tonight. A packed house out there at Paloma Valley. If you were from H-Town or you were from Paloma Valley, you were hip. You were out there tonight, and it would not disappoint. I actually arrived there at halftime because I hit up the Vista Murrieta Valley game, which we'll get to a little bit later in the show. But let's roll out to Paloma Valley. Packed crowd on the home side, but they would be in for a little bit of a disappointment tonight. Brett Virgil, a.k.a. BVZ, rolling to his right, hitting a diving Chris Nile. But check this out. He's hit by his own teammate. Whoops. I don't think that counts as a fumble, though, because he'd already caught the touchdown. 34-18 at that point, early third quarter. Then Isaiah Morrow. Continuing the family tradition, we've got Hefos, Virgils. Have a little bit of Morrow action. 70-yard touchdown score. 41-18. Patriots in control right now. But Paloma Valley trying to make something happen. Ruben Colton with the pick on Virgil. But the royal family of Heritage would come to the rescue when needed. Limahai Hefo with the old pick right there. He danced around for a few extra yards, setting up the Patriot offense, which would be very physical all night long. Paloma having trouble with them. Brett Virgil putting on his running shoes for the big gain. Only thing stopping him on this play, he ran out of bounds. But hey, Virgil 2.0, Pep called him. 1.0 was in the house as well tonight. Taking after his brother here, running in for another touchdown. H-Town all the time in the second half here. 48-25 the win for H-Town tonight, Pep.
Did I see Darius Allensworth on the sidelines, Chris?
That was correct. We let him put his pick out there earlier this week. He said 35-14. I thought he was being a little bold, but 48-25 tonight. He was almost too conservative.
Chris, I'm head coach Craig Broach, and I'm glad to be on HSGameTime Live right now. Do you have any questions for me about the game?
Coach Broach, even when your team was up by 3 touchdowns, the volume of your voice indicated otherwise. You're a man of great passion.
Yeah, I'm very passionate, and I talk with a Western accent right now. Don't ask me about it. It's something new. I'm just trying out. But yes, I was very fired up. I don't want to lose in the Sun Belt League. I'm 18-0 now, and we've got the inside track to a Sun Belt League title.
I've heard that Menifee is the Texas of the Riverside County, so maybe that's where you got your accent.
It must be. It's something new. Just working on it. All right, Craig Broach, thank you for joining us, Coach. All right, so Angel, we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're going to do the Temescal Canyon Elsinore game next, and then we'll come back to Chris. We'll keep Chris right here because we're going to keep it all things Sun Belt League. So Temescal Canyon Elsinore, now the Titans, Chris, as we know, they want respect, they want some love, but they need to be one of the big three.
A quality team, and if they took the W tonight, that would definitely be a bold statement. The million-dollar question, could they do it?
Could they do it? And Heritage plays Elsinore in the final week of the season. That could be interesting. All right, Angel, let's roll those highlights. Angel's actually at this game down there. Coach Peralta and the Tigers looking to defend their home field against Temescal, as some people call it. And early in this one, the Tigers fumbling the ball. That was the Titans' Armani Simmons hit on Tommy Wilson. Then it's Wilson airing it out to Chris Harris. Chris Harris down to the doorstep, and that would set up Jacob Guglielmana, the score. and that ties the game at 7-7. So the Titans were already on the board when Elsinore scored. Then it's Temescal Canyon quarterback Sean Trimble to Jacob Hetland. The nice pass, the catch, but Harris strips the ball loose, and Elsinore is all over it. So the Tigers go on offense. Travis Wilson, where's number 22, the quarterback? And he's going to hand this one off to Travis Wilson. He's going to get down to the 5-yard line. They've got to be brothers, I would assume. That sets up Guglielmana for another touchdown. Elsinore goes up 14-7 against Temescal Canyon. Now it's from Travis Wilson to Tommy Wilson. Calling his own number on the QB keeper. That would set up a field goal for Elsinore, and the Tigers go on to win by a final score of 29-15. All right, back here live in the studio. We're going to run down the Southwestern League scores, and then Chris will have, let's see, you had Vista Murrieta and Murrieta Valley. And we've also got highlights from Chaparral coming up. So let's go to the scoreboard first and show you what happened to tonight in the Southwestern League. Vista Murrieta all over Murrieta Valley. We'll let Chris talk about that in just a moment. Also tonight, Temecula Valley picking up a solid win against Murrieta Mesa, 32-31, and one more game from the Southwestern League, and that would be Great Oak and Chaparral. The Pumas winning 21-17. That's going to turn our HSGameTime top 10 on its head as we vote next week. So we'll see what happens. So back here live in the studio, Vista Murrieta, Murrieta Valley, the big game.
Murrieta Valley, just a couple days ago, they didn't like it that we all picked Vista Murrieta to win.
We did.
This week, they had the hit list out for us, but I guess we're safe. We're off the hit list.
Well, I tried to smooth it over and let them know I'm not very good at picking games. So if I pick you,
were right on that one.
I was right on that one. It happens once in a while.
Broncoville, USA was rocking tonight. The stands packed on both sides. Let's roll out there. Angel Angelito, fire up the big show. The Vista Murrieta Bronco Nation will have them here in a second. The big rivalry, and as we can see, they had the electronic dance music, the stuff the young kids listen to out there, like Adam Drexler. They were bouncing around to tonight. Huge hit, though, by Brandon Worthy.
Backing this up for us.
There we go. Brandon Worthy bringing the hit. Distant cousin of Big Game James.
Man. Knockout
city right there. A few coaches and players blocking in my way here, as you'll see in a second, so I didn't quite get it running into the end zone. But 7-0, the Bronco lead as they take the early touchdown there. Then big hits keep coming like a Michael Jackson concert for Vista. This time it's Mazine Khalil with the hit. And more from Vista Murrieta. Mr. Colton Gearhart finding the end zone for his first touchdown of the night, 14-0 Vista. Quincy Wimbish sneaks into the end zone at the goal line for Murrieta Valley. 14-7 the Vista lead late in the first quarter, but Colton Gearhart back at it once again. How about this guy? Running back, quarterback, he can do a little bit of everything. A jack of all trades, a 30-yard run right there. That will set up the touchdown pass to Kyle Williams. Caught his first touchdown last week. How about his second right there? Then he's taken out by his own guy. Hey, maybe a little bit extra more time in the weight room, a little Wheaties and a little milk will help him there to stay up next time. Vista D back to work. Jalen Russell, what's his favorite instrument? The piccolo. The pick, the interception right there. Ball back to the Broncos. Then Pep's wearing his Pablo Montoya jacket tonight. Tito Feliciano, his distant cousin, flies into the end zone right there, 28-7. The Vista Murrieta Bronco lead at halftime, and that would tell the story tonight. Broncos win 49-14. All Broncos tonight. We had them at the number one spot. Pep, they
in our top 10. They look very impressive with that big win. Now the rest of the Southwestern League kind of wide open at this point. Who's going to finish second or third, fourth?
One scenario that could be intriguing. Chaparral kind of flying under the radar, though. Tonight, they definitely will get some credit for that one. They are undefeated in Southwestern League play. If they can beat Murrieta Valley next week, and then the Broncos beat Mesa next week, that would set up a undefeated clash.
Oh.
In the last game
Week 10 of the season?
Chaparral would definitely be the underdog in that game, but what a statement it would be if they could shake up the Broncos.
And I think Chaparral, didn't they just climb into our top 10 this past week?
They did. I've been voting for them for a couple weeks, but
we will look at the top 10 just a little bit later in the show, but yeah, Chaparral making a nice run.
Team Tukwa putting themselves on the map.
We love Tukwa here. And speaking of Chaparral, we've got some video from there as they took on Great Oak tonight. Angel, let's roll those highlights. Chaparral and Great Oak, two teams, as we mentioned, there's Vista, Murrieta, and a lot of teams, a log jam after that, and who would finish in second place, third place, get into the playoffs here. There they are, the Pumas and the Wolfpack from Chaparral High School. Now, the Pumas, check this out, they actually run down from out of the stands. Jeff Parenti, our sports writer at the game tonight, and getting this video as they come down for the game through the stands. And the Pumas driving on Great Oak. I think that's Isaiah Johnson there. And then that would lead to this. It would be Austin Smith gaining 14 yards. And then it's Austin Reza hitting Isaiah Smith from 8 yards out. And the extra point make it 7-zip as Chaparral goes on to win by a final score of 21-17. So nice win for the Pumas against Great Oak. We had Great Oak at number 3 in the HSGameTime rankings. All right, so that's Sunbelt and Southwestern League. Now we're moving to the land of the Big Eight. King and Santiago going to triple overtime, and we should mention that the Sharks were still without their starting quarterback, Blake Barnett, as well as the running back, Joey Camarillo. So how would the Sharks fare against King, who is 6-1 on the season? Angel, let's take them out there to that game. King taking on Santiago. Tanner Maddox standing tall for Blake Barnett. The touchdown pass to Jordan Huffman, 7-zip, Sharks on top. Then later it's King quarterback Jacob Rogers to Ben Garcia. And Garcia will take it all the way to the 5-yard line of Santiago. That would set up this. Rogers, discount double check to Tyler Krebs, 7-7. We're all knotted up. Then it's Santiago quarterback Maddox to Brad Duran. That would lead to a field goal by Santiago as the Sharks jumped back out in front, 10-7. Now to the second quarter, it's King running back DeWitt Caswell. Slipped and he fell at the 48-yard line. Probably could have kept going on that one. Then it's Rogers. Heaving this one to Deshaun Jackson from the Eagles. No, Deshaun Jackson from King High School. 14-10, King on top. Then it's Jordan Villasenor. 5 yards on the touchdown run. That made it 17-14, Santiago at the half, and the Sharks go on to win. Are you ready for this? 51-45, the final. Santiago wins in triple overtime without Blake Barnett and without Joey Camarillo. So great win by the Sharks to stay in the hunt. They've got Centennial next week. So Centennial was a big winner against Roosevelt tonight. So let's go to the Big 8 League scoreboards now and show you what happened. We have a little bit of video from Centennial. We'll show that later on HSGameTime Live. But the Huskies rolled out to a big first half lead against the Mustangs, and Centennial rolls 55-7. Also tonight, there it is, 51-45, triple OT. Jeff Steinberg and the Sharks are a winner tonight. And one more, Corona and Norco, and it's Norco tossing the shutout, 49-0, the final score. All right, where our guy Adam Drexler covered the King and Santiago game. Then he made a mad dash for Ramona High School, Ramona Stadium, where Arlington was playing Canyon Springs. Luckily, that game was close all the way into the finish, and we've got highlights from the fourth quarter when it was really getting juicy. So let's, Angel, take them out to Ramona Stadium. Arlington taking on Canyon Springs in Inland Valley League action. That's the old gunslinger. Lions quarterback Wyatt Moore to Anthony Culbertson. Comes down with it, and they're heading down into the red zone. Next play, it would be Moore, the old gunslinger to Culbertson again, and he's going to be right there on the doorstep, like the 1 yard line. That would set up Devon Williams-Stokes from 1 yard out. The 2-point conversion attempt coming up for Arlington, but Wyatt Moore's pass would be batted down, and that would be huge because Arlington was down 27-25, so they needed those 2 points. Later, Moore picked off by Canyon Springs' Eddie Vera, who has a twin brother on the team who also plays corner. And then it's Canyon Springs' Nick Como. Now check out this crazy run. There was a flag on this play, so it would come back, but we had to show you anyways. Big Nick Como not going down. They were hitting me up on Twitter saying, Pep, you got to show this highlight. Great highlight, guys. I completely agree. Goes all the way in, but there was a flag, so it came back. So it was still 27-25. Canyon Springs quarterback Cody Cervantes intercepted by Arlington's Isaiah Lavelle. And then it's Moore getting the favor repaid by the Cougars. He's intercepted by Abel Juarez, and that would do it as Canyon Springs defeats Arlington 27-25. So some big interceptions down the stretch, the difference for Canyon Springs, and that great touchdown run by Como called back, but still the Cougars hang on to win that one 27-25. All right, let's go to the Inland Valley League scoreboard. Show you what happened across the IVL tonight. There it is, 27-25. Another great job by Drex getting those highlights back. Also tonight, the Rancho Verde 42-0 against North, and one more, that would be Riverside Poly defeating Valley View 42-7, the final. All right, back here live in the studio. Now we're going to the Sunkist League, and we've got a lot of big rivalry games coming up. One of them took place tonight as Colton took on Grand Terrace. Now, Grand Terrace's head coach, Harold Strauss, used to coach at Colton. Now he's at Grand Terrace. It's like brother versus brother, neighbor versus neighbor. A lot of the kids know each other, and they've also got that coaching connection. So city bragging rights in Colton tonight as Grand Terrace took on the Yellow Jackets. Let's roll those highlights, Angel, as the Titans were 2-0 in league play heading into their huge contest with the Yellow Jackets. And this place was packed. I've been to a lot of football games this season. This one was packed. Tons of people filing in to Grand Terrace High School. Early in this one, it was a heavy dose of Yellow Jackets tailback Isaiah Cisneros. That was Chris Mailo, the head coach for Colton. Big hit there by Johnny Silva from Grand Terrace, but they just kept feeding the ball to Isaiah Cisneros. Another big run as Colton was driving down the field in the third quarter. How about Cisneros one more time, all the way inside the 5-yard line. They were right there, almost there for a touchdown. 4th and goal, they're going for it. You got to. They were up 7-6, but Grand Terrace coming up big time. Turns them away on 4th and goal. So, hey, there's Jimbo from K-Cal. He was at the game trying to steal the ball from that poor kid. Jimbo, come on, man. You're better than that. Later in third quarter, it's Gil Martinez, the quarterback, airing this one out to Jason Taylor. He takes it down to the 3-yard line, and then on that same drive, they give it to Cisneros. He punches in the touchdown. Colton goes up 14-6, and they go on to win by a final score of 28-6, the final. So Colton with a huge win against their rival Grand Terrace. The Titans now 2-1 in the Sunkist League. All right, now let's go around the Sunkist League and go to the scoreboard tonight. Some rather great games. Kaiser in action, Summit in action. Speaking of the Skyhawks, I wish Javier was here because Fontana is his team. I'd like to get his analysis on this one. The Skyhawks 35-0 over Faux High. Kaiser beating Bloomington 56-8. And the game you just saw, Colton and Grand Terrace, the Yellow Jackets 28-6. They defeat the Titans. Now we're going to the Mountain Valley League. Now, Rim of the World is your defending CIF champion in the East Valley Division, and they battled Banning, you remember, last year for the Mountain Valley League title, where, well, the Scots were one of those teams and maybe the favorite to win league again this year. But remember Rupa Hills, they made that great playoff run last year, and the Spartans looking like one of those teams to possibly knock off Rim of the World. Could they do it? They met tonight at Rupa Hills High School. Angel, let's roll those highlights from Fontana at Rupa Hills High School. There's Bob Gradius, head coach for Rim of the World. And here come the Spartans. Spartans, prepare for glory. They were ready for this one, ready to knock off Rim. How about that big hit there by Jamie? They're stuffing Jamie Taylor on the run. That's the Scots star running back. On the ensuing punt, it's Christian Steele. 84 yards on the house call, and Rupa Hills goes up early 7-0 against Rim of the World. And then Rim strikes back. Quarterback Brandon Johnson to Blake Decker on the TD, and that ties the game at 7 apiece. Well, on Rupa Hills' first offensive snap of the game, it's DJ Wright to Corday Roberts. You can't teach speed. Flies down the sideline with the need for speed, and Rupa Hills goes up 14-7 against Rim of the World. But the Fighting Scots with Gradius not ready to back down quite yet. It's Johnson to Decker for the Scots, and he's going to get across midfield as Rim of the World was driving against Rupa Hills. They would go all the way down into the red zone when the Spartans come up big time. Deshire Singleton comes up with the interception for Rupa Hills, and the Spartans go on to the huge victory against Rim of the World, 31-21, the final score. So Rupa Hills now in the driver's seat for the Mountain Valley League title. Rim of the World will play Citrus Valley next week. All right, back here live in the studio. Let's go to those Mountain Valley League scores. I believe there's only 2 of them this week because we had a Thursday night game in the Mountain Valley League. All right, Banning picking up a nice win against Rubidoux, 28-21. So this league is really a logjam at this point. Rupa Hills, as you saw, a 10-point winner against Rim of the World, 31-21, the final score. And we mentioned there was a Thursday night game. It was Notre Dame and Citrus Valley. Both teams were 0-2 in Mountain Valley League play, but a win on Thursday night would propel one of those teams back into the playoff hunt, a very much needed win. We caught up with Pete Smolin, the head coach of the Blackhawks, before the game, and he essentially said the playoffs start now for Citrus Valley. They got to keep winning to get in, and that's exactly what they did against Notre Dame on Thursday night. Let's go to those highlights. The Titans and Blackhawks were both 0-2 in league play, but a win on Thursday would get back in the playoff picture.
Y'all ready to roll? Y'all ready to hit? Let's go.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Hardy Homes and Estates. When you list with Hardy, start packing. First quarter, Notre Dame gets on the board first with a safety. The high snap for Citrus Valley, and the Titans lead 2-zip. Still in the first quarter, the Titans drive down the field and cap off the drive with his Paul Bradvick touchdown on the quarterback keeper, 8-zip Notre Dame. The Blackhawks would soar back thanks to the ground game and running back Brett Kokesh. 40 yards on this burst to the paint, and Citrus Valley makes it an 8-6 game late in the first quarter. Now to the second quarter, more Kokesh action. 29 yards on this scoring scamper, and the Blackhawks jump in front 13-8 at the half. Third quarter, more of the same. Hashtag Kokesh. 44 yards for his third touchdown of the game, and Citrus Valley's on top 28. Notre Dame needed to stop on defense to stay within striking range, and Jaden Gardner comes up big time with the INT. But the Blackhawks wasted little time to repay the favor on the ensuing drive. Everett Lindsay picking up this pass in the end zone for Citrus Valley. Later in the third, Notre Dame would close the gap when Polly Guaps. Quarterback Paul Bradvick to Wesley Smith on the slant for the touchdown. The Titans pull with a 6, down 20-14. But Citrus Valley would not let the Titans get any closer. Stephen Armenta punches in the touchdown to give the Blackhawks a 2-touchdown lead. The defense would do the rest as Citrus Valley improves to 3-5 on the year, 1-2 in the Mountain Valley League with the 28-14 win.
Worked really hard in practice this week as a do or die for us. We have great kids that work hard, and it's good to pay off. And Notre Dame's a tough team, and put a lot of effort into stopping their quarterback from passing the ball and covering their top receivers and trying to make things happen on the ground game against them.
We've shown everybody that we can play 4 quarters of football, run the ball, pass the ball, smash them in the mouth. The defense is stepping up great, and we just got to keep rolling. Next week we got Rim, and everybody's just so excited.
So it's Citrus Valley taking on Rim of the World next Friday. That should be a great game as both those teams are now chasing Rupa Hills after that solid victory. All right, let's go to the HSGameTime top 10 rankings from this past week, and obviously this will be changing. Vista Murrieta is number 1, followed by Centennial. Great Oak losing tonight to our number 10 team, Chaparral. So the Pumas will go high. Paloma Valley, they lost, but they played Heritage, our number 5 team. So will the Wildcats still be hanging around in our top 10? Santiago, the triple overtime winner. And as we saw, Rancho Verde blanked North tonight. So the Mustangs still holding strong. In fact, the Mustangs could go up to number 3 now. So we'll have to find out. But Great Oak has beaten Rancho Verde, Heritage, and Murrieta Valley. So it's going to be interesting this week when we vote and see where they all kind of fall out. But Vista Murrieta and Centennial still going strong atop the top 10. All right, back here live in the studio. The highlights roll on as we go to the Big 8 League. Dennis Pope will be here in just a second. But Centennial taking on Roosevelt. He'll break down that game. We've got a little bit of video that we're going to show you. So let's go ahead and go to those highlights, and hopefully Dennis will get in here in a second. That's Trey Watson. He goes in for the touchdown there for Centennial. And let's see. Dennis Pope should be coming up. Angel, do you want to grab him real quick and just yell for him? We'll just tell you that Centennial raced out to a big lead. I believe it was 48-0 at halftime. And Centennial goes on to win 55-7. Roosevelt has that great offense, but gosh, they were playing Centennial, and that's fighting fire with fire. And Centennial getting that big win. Now Centennial has Santiago next week. That could be interesting if Blake Barnett is healthy. So we'll see how that pans out, as well as Joey Camarillo for the Sharks. So we'll have to see how that all works out. All right, Dennis Pope's going to join us in just a second, and he'll break down that game, Centennial and Roosevelt. But let's go to our River Valley League scores real quick, and we'll go to the scores from tonight. And the big one was Notre, Vista, and La Sierra. We'll get to that one in a second. Moreno Valley beating Ramona 55-21. So the Vikings with a big win against the Rams. Patriot 41-14 over Supa, Dupa, Harupa Valley. And I believe there was one more, and there it is. Notre Vista 45-13 against La Sierra. This was essentially the battle for first place because La Sierra had started 2-0 in the River Valley League. It really was. And the Braves, though, can tightening their grip on another River Valley League championship, 45-13 over the Eagles. Well, fashionably late. He's got the black. I've got the white on. We're looking strong. You were at the Centennial game, speaking of looking strong, and the Huskies flexing their muscles against Roosevelt tonight.
Yeah, they looked really good. Trey Watson, almost 200 yards, 3 touchdowns on just 13 carries. But defense really carried the day for the Huskies tonight. They had 3 picks, including one by Jalen Johnson, the big defensive end.
Yeah.
The first pass of the game for Jacob Jordan, who came in the second half, he threw it right to Jalen Johnson. It hit him right in the chest, and he was like, oops, and he caught it right here, and he's like, oh, he's going to rumble with it. And so he took about 15 yards back to about the 45, and then Centennial, of course, they do what they do. They scored again, right? So, it was 55-7 was the final score. Man, I'm off camera big time.
That's all right. As I say, I don't bite, usually. So, Centennial, when you play them, it's almost like an avalanche. Like when they start going on offense and it just kind of piles up and you're like, you look at the scoreboard, whoa, it's 28-0. We're in the first quarter. What happened here? Roosevelt's got an offense too, though. I mean, but it just wasn't clicking tonight.
It did materialize tonight. Joseph Murrieta probably had this toughest night of his high school career. I don't know his final stats, but he threw the 2 picks, and he only completed less than probably 6 or 7 passes of his 20 attempts. Finished with like 50-some-odd yards.
And you said he came out early, right?
Yeah,
Jacob Jordan came in.
Jacob Jordan, the transfer from Summit, he came in, and he actually played pretty well. Threw a touchdown to Keontae Roberts pretty late in the game, and he looked effective, but he's a different style of quarterback than Joseph Muriel. Joseph Muriel is very much a pocket passer. I mean, he can get outside and do some things with his legs, but he's very tall, very lanky, and he throws the ball very hard. Jacob Jordan, he's a scrambler. He makes things happen on the run,
So Centennial, did they have the C's on their helmet yet?
They did. They brought them back for this week, and I don't know if that had anything to do with the way that they play, aside from the pride perspective. They did the exact same thing on offense that I thought they'd do. They pounded it with Trey Watson early, and then as soon as Roosevelt packed the box, then they spread it up, and Robert Weber started picking them up. So same thing happens pretty much every week for Centennial. It just seems like they're just racking up victims.
We're waiting for one of these teams to actually challenge Centennial. Now, Norco gave them a good game.
Yeah, that's true.
They've got Santiago coming up, but Blake Barnett did not play tonight. Joey Camarillo, from what I understand, didn't play either. So, even with their backups and they beat King, they needed triple overtime. But let's say they're healthy going into the Centennial week. I mean, do you think Santiago could hang with Centennial, or are the Huskies just kind of firing on all cylinders?
Not unless Blake Barnett plays and he comes and it has a great game, the best game of his career potentially. I think Centennial is just firing on all cylinders, so to speak. They got all their weapons going. They played everybody tonight. They had 4 quarterbacks play, probably 6 running backs. It was ridiculous. They pretty much had everybody on the varsity team play tonight.
Do you think in hindsight, Pope, that we'll look back and say, okay, they lost to Long Beach Poly and Alamany, but maybe in the long run it was a good thing, kind of like a wake-up call to kind of get them back on track? I mean, not that Long Beach Poly or Alamany or any slouches. I mean, those are two of the top teams in the state.
Right.
But still, I mean, kind of get their refocus. Hey, we made the state championship game last year. We're just going to keep riding that.
I think talent could always be motivated to do better. I think when you have talent at the level Centennial does, maybe it takes a spark. Maybe they do get a little complacent when they get the scholarship offers coming in. And they think, hey, I am really good. I don't have to work nearly as hard this year. Well, that's not the case. There's still goals to be played for. There's still championships to be won. So I think taking the C's off the helmets, taking their names off the jerseys, really probably did more to wake this team up than the losses actually did. So, but they're really great right now. They're doing really, really well.
And I'm sure that doesn't sit well with head coach Matt Logan. He's one of the greatest coaches around. He's going to have his team ready.
Yeah.
And they're loaded with talent. So when you have a great coach who has them prepared and you've got all the talent, that's a dangerous combination.
They're talking about already eating sushi for next week, if you know what I'm saying, because they're playing the Sharks. So they screamed sushi after their big huddle after the game tonight, because they all know it's Shark Week.
Well, we were talking about the big rivalry games in the area, and what is it, like maybe 2 miles that separate the two schools off Rimpaw?
Yeah, if that, right, if that. So, yeah, it's super close, and, guys transfer back and forth every year in one way or the other. One of the best players ever to play for Santiago, Mike Dar.
Yeah, Michael Dar. Yeah.
He was a freshman at Centennial, and then he knew he wasn't going to get his chance because Michael Eubank and then Robert Weber were ahead of him, and so he transferred to Santiago and had a great career.
Yeah, worked out for him.
I was thinking about this year though. I mean, would Michael Dar have won a CIF championship with Centennial? Would that have happened? Would that have panned out had he stuck around? It's just an interesting thing to think about.
He's similar to Weber, right? I mean, if you were going to compare their styles.
Yeah, they have very similar styles.
Yeah.
They do very similar things. Both super strong arms. Both can move a little bit outside the pocket. It would have been a great juxtaposition to see, if he had made that ascension eventually to the varsity starter. So, well, you never know.
And Dar following baseball at this point, so we'll see how that goes. He comes from a baseball family.
That's true.
So, but that is interesting. I never thought about that. What Dar playing for? Mm-hmm. Maybe he would end up as like a DB. Who knows if he would have stayed at Centennial? You know what I mean? Like he could have been anywhere. He's such a great athlete.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Dennis Pope. You're the man. Oh, a little orange bracelet on there?
Yeah, that's to represent my Orioles FC, my AYSO under 10 team.
Orioles FC?
We wear the super bright orange jerseys, so the boys won these at the pizza party.
Of course. Of course. I'm assistant coach for my daughter's team, and we're the Golden Trophies. We're 500 this year. We're battling.
Wow, good for you, man. We're having a rough year so far.
Yeah. Well, we're almost there. We're like I said, we're flirting with 500. So.
Hey, there's always tomorrow, right? Saturday.
Yeah. AYSO Soccer Talk only here on HSGameTime.
HSGameTime. AYSO.
All right, thanks, Pope. Hey, let's go to the Citrus Belt League. Angel, let's roll those highlights. Redlands against Cajon as the Terriers caught fire lately. They're playing some pretty good football right now. And we'll start the highlights right here. Malik Forte scrambling deep into Redlands territory. Fumbles after a big hit by Cardell Palmer, and it's recovered by Matt Bennett for the Terriers. Then scoreless. Midway through the second quarter, Cajon running back Chris Boston from 3 yards out puts the Cowboys up 7-0 on Redlands homecoming. Cajon still up 7-0 under a minute to go in the first half. Palmer, 16 yards. Ooh, big hit there, down to the Cajon 6-yard line. 2 plays later, after that Palmer run, it's Cody Whitaker rolling out, and he calls his own number, scores on a 4-yard run, and that made it 7-7 at the half. To the third quarter, Redlands up 21-7. Big Zach, don't call me Sean Lindsay, in for the 1-yard touchdown run as Redlands goes on to win 41-20. The final score. Back here live in the studio, we've got Kyle Glazer standing by to break down the game, but let's bring you all the scores from the Citrus Belt League tonight. Let's go to them. Rev, the big winner over Miller, 55-6. So the Wildcats continuing their CBL dominance. Eisenhower over Ukaipa, 21-14. And the game you just saw, Redlands over Cajon, 41-20. So the Terriers now 3-0 in the CBL. And the big ticket, KG joining us now. Kyle, just step a little bit closer to me. As I told Pope, I don't bite.
I know.
Usually. Before we even get to the game, I'm all excited now because Rev and Redlands have that huge contest coming up, and they're both undefeated, so it's first place, rivals. We know all that stuff that goes into it now.
And it's not just first place. Both teams at 3-0. The winner will clinch a share of the CBL title, so you already have the rivalry that's huge. You add in the records and what's at stake. It's going to be a great one. You know, Redlands coach Jim Walker, even after this game, was talking about that, how excited they are, compared it to USC, UCLA. You know, they're up and ready for it, but it's important to note, Redlands did not overlook Cajon coming into, you know, they could have easily with Rev next week. It could have been a total trap game, but it wasn't. Redlands did an excellent job tonight and, you know, really never trailed except for a few minutes there in the second quarter.
So if you look at the game from the outside, it's almost halftime. Cajon's up 7-0, and you're like, wow, homecoming, Redlands, this does not look good for the Terriers. But after halftime, I mean, they tied it up before the half, but after halftime, what was the difference? I mean, the offense got going, it sounds like.
The biggest difference was the offense got going, but Cajon had 2 crucial fumbles. That was really the biggest thing. But give Redlands a lot of credit for, you know, I'm a big fan of that wrapping around touchdowns on the final drive of the first half and then coming out to start the second half. I think that's a huge momentum changer. That's what Redlands did. Cody Whitaker led them down the field just before halftime, got a touchdown. Then the opening drive, he scored another touchdown, a 7-yard touchdown run by Whitaker. So Redlands put up 14 points without Cajon really ever touching the ball. The next 2 possessions, Cajon fumbled it away. Rev scored touchdowns on both of those. DJ Biggers with a 35-yard touchdown
Another
run.
touchdown, defensive touchdown.
Second straight week for him. And then we saw Zach Lindsay's 1-yard run there at the very end. That came a couple plays after a Cajon fumble. So all of a sudden, it was 28-7 with Cajon barely touching the ball. Those touchdowns touchdowns wrapped around the half, couple turnovers, and it was a blowout before you knew it. Whitaker then showed off the arm, touchdown pass to Durham. I mean, 3 total touchdowns for Cody Whitaker tonight, arguably his best game as a starter at Redlands. And the defense, once again, was solid. You know, that double wing that Cajon runs is very tricky. And even though Cajon put up some big numbers, it took them 70 carries to get there. Redlands held them under 4 yards a carry.
Now, you saw the Terriers at the beginning of the season. They went through some growing pains. When you see Redlands now, is it the same team, or do you think they're making strides?
It's a different team. When you take into account, like I said, they had new starters almost everywhere on offense and a couple spots on defense. Then you had some injuries, so you really had some second-string guys playing. This is really now the first time we're seeing Redlands at full strength with its chemistry where it needs to be. Even Cody Whitaker missed 2 games early in the year, and I think that cost him some valuable chemistry building time. Redlands is 3-0 in the Citrus Belt League because they deserve to be. The defense has been playing excellent recently. The offense hasn't been explosive, but they're putting up points when they need to. They're taking advantage of when the defense forces a turnover, which is huge. I think there's nothing more deflating than your defense, gets you the ball back and then you go 3 and out. So give Redlands a lot of credit. Give Jim Walker and his staff a lot of credit. Redlands started 0-3. Since then, they've won 4 or 5, and they control their own destiny in the Citrus Belt League, which is impressive considering the way they started.
Now, apparently, head coach Jim Walker and I roll in the same hood because on Thursday afternoon, I was out to get some pizza, and he was actually going to get a sandwich. But so I was talking to him about the football game, and I was holding my youngest daughter, and he was talking to her, and we were trying to mix in some football. So I asked him, hey, Coach, what about Cajon? And he said, Cajon's really good. The only thing against the Cowboys is a lot of their best players play both ways. So by the second half, they get a little worn out.
And that's one of the reasons we've seen Cajon really struggle in the second half. They were tied at 21 with Rev and East Valley.
Exactly.
And then Rev scored 34 unanswered points on them. Last week, Cajon led 28-20 over Eisenhower at halftime.
They've got some great players over there.
Yeah, and then Ike won. Then today again, they had Redlands tied at half. They just can't finish. And part of that's because Cajon, there are a lot of guys playing both ways. There's also a lot of young guys, 11 sophomores. And Coach Kim Batten said they're just still learning how to play a complete game. I think Cajon, they dominated the San Andreas League. They've struggled since moving up to the Citrus Belt League. But they've got talent, and it's young. So I think the Cowboys, will be back to being competitive in a year or 2, but it's pretty clear that they still have to learn how to play a complete game.
So the Cowboys look pretty good for years to come, according to the big ticket here. KG, thanks, Kyle, appreciate it. And that big Smudge Pot game next week, that is going to be a lot of fun. All right, Angel, let's take them to the Mountain Pass League scoreboard now. Show you what happened out there. My good friend Robert Martinez hit me up on Twitter. And West Valley was giving Tahquitz a battle in this one, but the Titans pull it out 36-27. So the Tahquitz Titans now get Citrus Hill in Week 9. Man, Week 9 has a ton of great games. Citrus Hill over Hemet 59-21. So it's Citrus Hill and Tahquitz next week. And that is the San Andreas score. San Gorgonio over Cardinal City, 64-0. Now the Spartans won some love, trying to give some San G love. Next week they've got a huge game against Carter, and we're trying everything we can to get a video camera up there because that is going to be a huge game. Now, there are a couple more scores from the San Andreas. I can't remember if I put some more in there or not. I think there might be one or two more. So that was, I think we've got the Carter score. Carter took on Rialto tonight. That was another big game from the San Andreas League because, one of those teams was going to be challenging San G for a league title. Now, San G had already beaten Rialto head-to-head, and Carter defeats the Knights 40-34. So now the Lions go into that game with San G with a chance to remain undefeated in the SAL, but we'll see what happens on Friday. But San G on an absolute roll right now, so they're going to be tough to beat. And one other score, it was Pacific and Arroyo Valley, and Arroyo Valley winning a shootout against the Pirates, 48-44, the final score. All right, back here live in the studio. Now we go to the Inland Valley League. And Canyon Springs and Arlington had a great game that went down to the finish, a 2-point conversion, some interceptions deciding this one late in the fourth quarter. So, Angel, let's roll the video from Ramona Stadium and the Lions trying to make a comeback against Canyon Springs. So we'll fast forward right to the finish because that's when the game really got good in this one. All right, that's the old gunslinger, Wyatt Moore, with this pass to Anthony Culbertson. He hauls it in, and he's going to make his way down to, looks like about the 15-yard line inside the red zone. Next play, Moore to Culbertson again. He's going to take it all the way to the doorstep right there near the pylon, and that sets up Devon Williams-Stokes from 1 yard out. And the Lions need a 2-point conversion because they were down by 2. They're going for it, but Moore's pass is batted down. So Canyon Springs clinging to a 27-25 lead. Then it's Arlington gets the ball back. Moore picked off by Canyon Springs' Eddie Vera. And then how about this run? Now there's a flag on the play, so it's coming back, but we had to show it to you anyways. Check out the effort from Nick Como. Not going down. Practically the entire Arlington team got a shot at him. Como breaks loose and takes it all the way to the paint, but remember, there's yellow on the ground, so it's coming back. There's a penalty, so it did not count. It's coming back because of holding. Now it's Canyon Springs quarterback Cody Cervantes, but he's intercepted by Isaiah Lavelle for Arlington. So Arlington still clinging to life, trying to get a go-ahead score, but Moore is picked off by Abel Juarez from Canyon Springs, and that will do it. Canyon Springs wins 27-25, the final score. Now we head over to the Sunkist League in a big-time rivalry game. Colton and Grand Terrace. Harold Strauss, the head coach for the Titans, used to coach the Yellow Jackets. And there's also the in-town bragging rights in Colton. So, and actually, Grand Terrace was 2-0 heading into this game. So they were also in the hunt for a league title if they could keep this going against their big-time rival. So let's roll those highlights from Grand Terrace High School. The place was absolutely packed. People fired up for Colton versus Grand Terrace. In third quarter, a heavy dose of Isaiah Cisneros. Nice run there from Cisneros. And then Chris was saying, let's just keep that up. Let's give it to Cisneros. But here on this play, the big hit coming up by Johnny Silva for Grand Terrace. But they kept feeding Cisneros the ball. Here he goes. Gets the carry, spins and picks a couple more yards on that carry. And then Cisneros again, right up the gut, gets it inside the 5-yard line. Well, Colton would end up facing 4th and goal. You got to go for it. They were up 7-6 in the third, but Grand Terrace turns them away. Huge stop for the Titans. But later in the third quarter, first, K-Cal rocks Jimbo. Jimbo trying to steal the ball from that poor kid. Jimbo, come on, man. You're better than that, as I said before. It's Gil Martinez, the quarterback for Colton, airs it out to Jason Taylor down to the about 2-yard line. That would set up a Cisneros touchdown, and Colton goes on to defeat Grand Terrace by a final score of 28-6. So Yellow Jackets with a big-time victory in terms of bragging rights, and also in the hunt for a league title right now. Who's going to win that Sunkist League championship, you got to have Colton in those conversations. And I also caught up with Levante Wilson, one of the star players for Colton. He dislocated his wrist, but he's hoping to be coming back later in the season for the Yellow Jackets. So that's great news. All right, here we go. We're going to the Mountain Valley League now. Rim of the World taking on Rupa Hills. Now the Spartans kind of snuck up on some people last year. They got into the playoffs, made it all the way to the CIF East Valley Division semifinals. But this year, they weren't sneaking up on anyone. Rupa Hills, one of those teams to beat, one of those very good teams. So could they knock off the perennial favorite in league play this year, Rim of the World? All right, Angel, let's roll those highlights from Rupa Hills High School. Bob Gradius, the head coach for Rim of the World. And here come the Spartans. Spartans prepare for glory. Rupa Hills, the defense here, stuffing the star running back for the Scots, Jamie Taylor, on that carry. On the ensuing punt, check out Christian Steele. 84 yards on the house call, and Rupa Hills goes up by a score of 7-0. Then Rim of the World trying to battle back against Rupa Hills, and they actually go to the air. Sometimes they do throw. Brandon Johnson to Blake Decker on the TD. That knots the game at 7 apiece. But on Rupa Hills' first offensive snap, it's DJ Wright to Corday Roberts. He flies down the sideline, the need for speed, and Roberts gives Rupa Hills the 14-7 lead on Rim of the World. Gradius and the Scots, though, they know how to battle back, and that's exactly what they would do. Johnson to Decker. He's got the catch, and he's going to pick up a couple more yards on the nice yak yards after the catch. Rim got into the red zone, but the Spartans turned them away. Shire Singleton coming up with the interception. Rupa Hills led 17-7, and they go on to win. They defeat Rim of the World by a final score of 31-21. All right, here live in the studio. Now we're going back to the Sun Belt League. Chris Ercole will join us in just a moment with Heritage versus Paloma Valley, the Menifee Bowl. That was our game of the week. But first, we start with another rivalry game. Temescal Canyon taking on Elsinore. Another one of these games where city bragging rights were on the line. So, Angel, let's go to those highlights from Elsinore High School. Head coach Tony Peralta and the Tigers looking to defend their home field. And this one, early on, though, the Titans, Armani Simmons, the big hit on Tommy Wilson, but the Tigers would recover the fumble. And this time it's Wilson airing it out to Chris Harris. Chris Harris down to the doorstep for the Tigers. That sets up Jacob Guglielmana. The score, and that ties the game at 7 apiece. The Titans were in the lead. They scored first. Quarterback Sean Trimble for Temescal Canyon to Jacob Hetland. Nice pass, nice catch, but Harris comes to the picture, strips the ball loose, and Elsinore is all over it. And there's Tommy Wilson handing it off to Travis Wilson, the deuce, getting loose down to the 5-yard line, and that would set up another Guglielmana touchdown as Elsinore goes up 14-7. Later in the second quarter, it's the quarterback Tommy Wilson wearing number 22, calls his own number, big gain here, and that would set up an Elsinore field goal, and the Tigers go on to defeat Temescal Canyon by a final score of 29-15. So Elsinore, your in-town champion down there after defeating Temescal Canyon. Now, but the big game in the Sun Belt League.
Heritage, Paloma Valley. It was so controversial that Pep had to pick Paloma in the paper and Heritage on the
Wait, can I
internet.
defend myself real quick? Did I already do that?
Yes, you did.
One more time.
People that may not have heard them.
Yeah, so in the paper it said I picked Paloma Valley High School to win the Menifee Bowl. And while I love the Wildcats, I really do, I had Heritage winning 38-35. So I don't know how that typo got in the newspaper, but anyways, I had Heritage winning.
You had your phone was blowing up all night. Your tires were slashed. Right?
What? Our picks come out on Thursday, right?
Correct.
I didn't find out until Friday night that I had picked Paloma.
I had
no idea.
I went out to the game tonight, and the people the people of H-Town were disappointed that their beloved Pep had picked against them. Turned on them like Judas at the Last Supper.
I was walking around town like there's no problem, and all along everyone thought I picked Paloma Valley, but
In your
at
heart,
Heritage.
In your heart, Heritage, right? You're biased. You're not biased, though, but never mind.
Of course I got Heritage. I'm the head coach, silly. Let's see those highlights, Chris.
Let's roll out there to Paloma Valley. Full crowd on both sides tonight. Brett Virgil, a.k.a. BVZ, rolling to his right, hitting a diving Chris Nile. 34-18 early in the third quarter. All love from Darius Allensworth. Then Isaiah Morrow, continuing the family tradition. We've got Hefos, we've got Virgils, and we've got Morrows. How about a 70-yard score? 41-18, mid-third quarter, the lead for Heritage. Ruben Colon trying to get Paloma Valley back into the action. He gets the pick on Virgil, but Heritage, the Patriots, back in action. The royal family for Heritage comes through once again. Lima High Hefo. I understand they provided the team meal before the game. They're also providing the interceptions during the game as well, with pick right there for Lima High Hefo. Brett Virgil putting on his running shoes once again. About a 30-yard pickup here. Would have been a touchdown, but he ran out of bounds a little bit. Had the Air Jordans on the sideline a little bit too much. Takes care of business a few plays later, though. Virgil 2.0 with the touchdown into the end zone. 48-25, the final score, Pep. This past week in the top 10, I had Heritage ranked as my number 3 team behind Vista, Murrieta, and Centennial. Could you be as bold as to do the same this coming week?
I don't know. I mean, I really like Heritage, and I want to pick the Patriots really high. And they've never ever lost in the Sun Belt League, but I don't know. Is that what you're going to do?
I did it last week, and they just dominated tonight, so win in Rome.
When in Rome, do as the Patriots do. What else you got, Chris?
Also, before that game, the reason why I had second half of that game was because
why'd you miss the first half of my game?
First half of that game, I was out in Bronco Town, USA. Vista and Murrieta and Murrieta Valley, a Southwestern League battle. Vista, the number 1 team at the top of the heap. But Murrieta Valley, plenty of chatter earlier this week. They were throwing out joking threats at the HSGameTime staff when the HSGameTime
Well, my team does the same thing.
Yeah.
You guys should always pick us to win. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, yours was a clerical error, so.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll let that one slide. But anyways, let's roll out to the highlights, see if the Broncos regained or stayed at the top spot. Bronco Nation getting ready to rock and roll. How about a huge hit from Brandon Worthy right there on the botched punt scenario. 7-0 lead as that one is taken all the way back to the end zone. The big hits would keep coming like a Michael Jackson concert tonight. Vista Murrieta, this time it's Mazin Khalil with the hit. The leader of the Rat Pack getting into the act. No, not Frank Sinatra. It's Colton Gearhart for the score. 14-0, his first of the evening, one of many. Quincy Wimbish would sneak across the goal line for Murrieta Valley. 14-7 at that point, but that would be as close as they would get. Colton Gearhart racking up the mileage once again. This time a 30-yard run. The guy running just like his older brother used to do over at Norco. That would set up the touchdown pass from Gearhart to Kyle Williams, second week in a row for a touchdown catch for that guy. So excited he fell down on the ground right at the end of the touchdown celebration. Then Vista back to work. Jalen Russell. His favorite musical instrument, the piccolo. Well, how about a pick? The interception, not a pick six, but it would set up the Broncos for another score. Tito Feliciano, just like Tony Montana. Over here, the jacket that Pep's got on right now tonight, he finds the end zone like the taken off for flight like the Wright brothers in 1906 at Kitty Hawk. Had to throw that one in there. And speaking of taking off for the win, how about Broncos? 49-14 over Murrieta Valley. Pep, can they be stopped?
Did you study history in college? Did you major in that? Or?
In high school, I took AP US, AP European, and AP Government.
Wow,
so
look at this guy over here.
Racked it up, and that's why they pay the big bucks around here, you know.
So you can draw up historical references.
Yep. I took some history in college as well. It was more like one class was an American history, and then one was more of the Napoleon era. So maybe I can bust out a few of those. I need to dust that off though. That was way back in like 07, 08, which was.
You still have those
light
textbooks?
Years away.
You didn't resell them?
I sold them back.
Yeah, you gotta sell them back.
Why are you gonna keep those for a coaster or something? That's a $50 coaster.
Doorstop.
That's expensive. Maybe they'd roll that way at Chico, but not at Gonzaga.
Whoa. Humboldt State.
Or Humboldt State.
Whoa, come on.
Chico. Whoops.
Whoa.
Close enough.
No, I do have some because you'd go to the bookstore and they wouldn't buy some of them back.
Oh yeah.
So you'd have to keep the book, and you're like, what am I going to do with this? Beginnings of archaeology book or
Each
logic.
professor always, trying to make a few extra dollars, bringing out their own book.
They do write their own book and then have new editions.
A book that would be popular is the Coley Candell Keys to Winning book, because they are on a roll, dominating the scene right now. They have the one spot. They don't look like they're going to be losing the one spot right now.
Rankings, yeah.
Centennial and them, could they be on for another collision course, Pep?
It would appear so. But first things first, in the Southwestern League, you pointed it out, Chaparral, right?
Chaparral next week takes care of business against Murrieta Valley, and Vista Murrieta takes care of business against Mesa. That would set up at Chaparral in the final week of league play, an undefeated, in league at least, showdown between Chaparral and Vista Murrieta. I'm sure the crowd would be packed.
Oh, man.
Five Guys burgers would be sold out within 15 minutes.
Do they sell those there?
I don't know, but
That's a good idea.
I think they should send a few our way for shouting them out.
Hey, if they want to sponsor the show,
yeah,
we'd love to have them on here. We could feed everyone.
We're not five guys. We're three guys in a studio right now, but close enough.
We got Angelito back here running the ship.
Yep.
There he is.
Solo. Drexler went home to sing love songs to his girlfriend, and Javier's out.
What is Javier doing?
Las Vegas. He's in Las Vegas.
Is that where he's at?
Yeah, he's paying tribute to his favorite band, The Killers, seeing them for the 50th time in the last 40 days, I think.
He complains he doesn't have money to buy lunch, but he'll go to Las Vegas and spend a ton of money to go
when
see
Javier's a dad, his kids won't have dinner, but they will have Killers tickets.
All right, Chris, let's keep it in the Southwestern League. Talk about these guys. Chaparral, they were taking on Great Oak. Jeff Parenti was at the game. Seen a little bit of video back. So, Angel, let's roll those highlights from Chaparral High School. They were hosting Great Oak, another key Southwestern League game. And I like Chaparral's uniforms. I don't know, the color scheme, the logo, and all that stuff. And look what the Pumas do. The players coming from out of the stands. There's another school. There's a college that does it. Is that Clemson? I can't remember off the top of my head. Is it Clemson? Clemson does something similar. Pumas were driving down the field on Great Oak, and here's their first touchdown of the game. Austin Reza to Isaiah Johnson from 8 yards out. That puts Chaparral up 7-0, and they go on to defeat Great Oak 21-17, the final score. So Chaparral, as we mentioned, staying undefeated in Southwestern League play. Can they keep it up for that meeting with Vista Murrieta? That would be a huge game. All right, now to the land of the Big H. Get you a couple highlights from there. King and Santiago, a triple overtime thriller. The Sharks, yes, they were shorthanded. They didn't have starting quarterback Blake Barnett or their star running back Joey Camarillo. But still, a lot of good talent on that team, and King battled them for 3 overtimes. But the Sharks did prevail. Here's some first half highlights. Angel, let's roll those from Santiago. Opening drive for the Sharks. Quarterback Tanner Maddox leading the charge. Hits Jordan Huffman for the touchdown. 7-zip, Sharks on top. Later in the first frame, it's Jacob Rogers to Ben Garcia, who takes it down to the 5-yard line for the Wolves. And then later on that same drive, it's Rogers with his discount double check to Tyler Krebs. That ties the game at 7 apiece. Still in the first quarter, it's Maddox to Brad Duran. That would lead to a Santiago field goal, and the Sharks led 10-7. Now to the second quarter. King running back DeWitt Caswell slips and falls, had a big run going, but still a nice run there by Caswell. Still in the second quarter, Rogers, the touchdown pass to Deshaun Jackson. Kings on top, 14-10. But later in the second quarter, before halftime, it's Jordan Villasenor, 5 yards on the touchdown run. Santiago goes on to win, as we said, in triple overtime, 51-45. Wow, a real track meet between Santiago and King tonight, and the Sharks prevail. And one more game to get to. We've got one highlight we're working on, maybe a couple more highlights for the big Saturday show, but Centennial taking on Roosevelt. Let's roll that highlight, because there's only one over and over. So, Angel, let's roll that one. Centennial taking on Roosevelt. That's beats by Trey. Trey Watson going in for the touchdown, one of many first-half touchdowns for the Huskies tonight against the Mustangs. And Centennial defeats Roosevelt by a final score. I believe it was 55-7. Yes, 55-7. Checking on my scorecard down here. All right, we've got a couple more games that we're going to squeeze into the Saturday show. So please come back to HS Game Time on Saturday, and we'll have a complete video highlight recap from Week 8 of the high school football season. And just looking ahead to Week 9, there are some great matchups. Talkwood, Citrus Hill, Santiago against Centennial, Redlands against Redlands East Valley, and we cannot forget San Gorgonio and Carter. Some huge games coming up in Week 9. So join us on the HS Game Time Live Blitz this Wednesday, 5:30 live on HS Game Time. We will preview Week 9 of the high school football season, and we'll chat about all these big-time games coming up on Friday night. But for tonight, that'll do it. Check back on Saturday for all the highlights, and we'll kind of put Week 8 in the rearview mirror with the Saturday scouting reports. For everyone here at HS Game Time, I'm Pep Fernandez, and we'll see you again next Friday night.